At the arena of Brawl Stars, everything was wonderful. Although in the rest of the world not everything was so smooth, but it didn't affect the arena in any way. Everyone lived quietly, enjoyed life, and fought in battles. The whole arena loved the furious Fang. By the way, you remember how they treated Fang before. He achieved his goals and never gave up. All of us should be like that. In any situation, find something bright and go forward without looking back, as well as thank God for everything we have. Bea, Rosa and Sprout were exactly like that. They had long wanted to have a common house where they would have their own plants, conduct all sorts of experiments and never live there. That is, to live there. For such a dream they needed a lot of money and they saved it every day. Living their dream and going to the goal, they saved up the necessary amount of money that was in the suitcase. They were so glad that their dream was almost in their hands, that their dream could come true in the coming days. But before such a serious construction, they need to talk to the board of brawlers, because until they get permission, they will not be allowed to build anything in the arena. Rose said that she would go to the console alone and talk to them. There was no point in going with Bea and Sprout. Let Sprout and Bea wait for her. The brawler met with the console and told about her idea. Of course, no one could just let them build a house, and therefore, Rose said that the place they want to build will help the arena very much. All sorts of different plants will grow there that will be crawled by the brawlers. Experiments will also be conducted that will benefit the technologies of the arena. The council liked this idea, and the house in which they now live, or rather rent, can be given to a new brawler. And it doesn't matter when he appears, today or in a year. The council asked what the name of this place would be. Rose answered, the Bea Dome. Minutes, hours, days and weeks passed, and finally the day came when the Trinity's dream came true, and they had their own house. Just look! Wow! How many interesting things there are! They all spent $50,000 on it, which they earned in a year and a half in the arena. It was definitely worth it. Different brawlers came and admired the biodome. They were flattered by how well thought and beautiful everything looks. So they moved there to live on the same day. Sprout was running around the new house and couldn't get enough how big it was. Now Rosa doesn't have to go anywhere to conduct any experiments and help the development of the arena. Everyone is at their home. She also had her own computer on which she can sometimes relax playing her favorite cards. The brothers got used to living in this place very quickly. In the morning, Rose and Sprout often went to fights, and Bea stayed and borrowed Rose's experiments. Sometimes Bea went to the fights alone, and Sprout and Rose stayed at home. They tried never to leave the biodome empty. No one in their absence should come here. Look at what a beautiful space. Do you remember how Ralph was sent here to get rid of him? What? What was that? What is the capsule and who is sitting inside? This kind of creature looks like a flea. It was flying somewhere. But where? Suddenly there was a malfunction in her capsule. It understood that it would not reach the place and could die. So it decided to land on the nearest planet, and this planet was Earth. Bea was trying to figure out at the moment what was in the flask, what the Rose was pouring into it, when suddenly the Earth began to crack. Bea looked at the top and she fell to the ground and the flask broke and the contents spilled on the ground. Bea saw a huge hole on the biodome. She didn't understand anything. The capsule landed right at their house. Bea was angry. She came to find out who dared to ruin their new home. The girl saw a strange creature, but most of all she was surprised by the children who were in the capsule. Flea got scared out of the capsule and apologized for making a hole in their house. Bea asked to immediately explain where she came from and why she flew here. First of all, she said that her name was Eve, and she was flying to another planet because her planet was destroyed, and she should do everything to protect her children. But at the same point, The engine failed in the capsule and she landed on Earth. That's the whole story. Thank God that the children are alive. If something would happen to them, it would not be able to forgive herself. She loves her children very much. Bea understood everything clearly. We need to go to the Council of Brawlers. They will tell us what to do. Eve asked not to tell anyone about what happened. She just needs help to fix the capsule and leave Earth immediately. Because they were flying to a completely different planet. The more people find out about her and her children, the more she will be in danger. Bea didn't want to hide this. They don't have money to fix the roof of the house and the council can allocate an amount so they fix everything. Eve strongly asked not to tell anyone anything. She will fix the roof herself and fly out of the ground without a trace. After thinking, Brawler agreed and said that he wouldn't tell anyone anything. A few hours passed and Rosa and Sprout returned home from the fighting. Bea saw them and tried to distract them so that they wouldn't see the hole on the roof. But Rosa immediately saw this horror and an angel ordered Bea to immediately explain what had happened. She promised Eve that no one would find out about her and her children, so she lied that she accidentally made this hole herself. Rose asked, "How?" Bea didn't know what to answer, but she just said that she was the blame for everything. Neither Rose nor Sprout believed her. Did another brawler do it? Or did she let inside? Brock could have done it, or maybe Colt. Rose asked for an explanation and she said that she continued to lie. She would have to live here. Bea didn't know what to say and stood silently when suddenly Rose turned her head and saw Eve. Bea wondered why she came out. They were hiding in a special place on the top. Eve said that Bea had nothing to do here and she would explain everything right away. Rose was shocked to see. What is it? Who is it? Eve gave her name and said that she came to Earth by accident. The hole on the biodome was a work of her hands, but she didn't want it. Rose didn't understand anything. Where did she came from at all and how did she accidentally arrive on Earth? Eve began to tell everything in detail. Bea looked at the brawler and hoped that she would understand everything and not drive Eve and the children far away. Rose listened to Eve's whole story. But where are the capsule and her children? They hid everything behind the plants. Eve brought the children and showed them to Rose. After which the girl finally believed in all this and of course decided to help the flea in trouble. At that hour, a lonely ghost Squeak was running around the arena. Although he now looks not as good as before, but this is still the same child who appeared from the drool of the beloved Ralphs. In one day, Squeak could walk around the entire arena and not get tired at all. While Squeak was having fun in the biodome, very important things were happening. Rose, Bea and Eve pulled out the capsule and wanted to figure out how to fix it, so that Eve could fly away from the Earth. In fact, brawlers are not particularly strong in such things, and it's not a fact that they can somehow help. But still they wanted to try, so they racked their brains for several days in a row trying to fix the capsule. Eve's children were behind the bushes. Eve protected them as best she could until they flew away from here. Of course they were instantly bored, but Mom's word is the law. Another day passed and the trio finally gave up. They couldn't fix the capsule. Rose was surprised. It was Eve's capsule. Why couldn't she fix it? Eve gave a simple human example. If a person has his own car and it suddenly broke down, it doesn't mean that he can't fix it. You need to take the car to the master and only there it can be repaired. Bea turned blue. Master? Meg can help them. Yes, exactly. Eve didn't want anyone else to find out about her and the children. She doesn't trust anyone. Bea said that Meg is a very good child, smart beyond your earth. She can be trusted by thousands of %. Rose agreed with Bea. They could not do anything. They need the help of a master. Eve understood that it was really necessary because she trusted Bea and Rose. The sun was roasting the wool arena. And Mac didn't give a damn, and she was walking around the ring when suddenly Bee came up to her from behind and said that she needed her help very urgently. Mac was confused. What happened? The girl said she would explain everything on the way. Meanwhile, while everyone was busy with their work, Squeak ran to the biodome. He did it not for the first time, and he was wildly interested in what was inside. Brawler climbed inside where through the plants he saw a rose with an unusual creature as well as a huge capsule. He was wildly interested and he was watching what was happening when suddenly Eve's child touched his leg. Squeak lowered his head and what he saw was shocked him. What is it? He took one of the children in his arms and they quickly became friends. At the second, Bee and Mac came to the biodome. Mac saw everything. Of course, was pretty awesome. Bee had already managed to tell her everything. It was just Mac who saw the alien capsule for the first time. Okay, talk away. You need to start fixing it. While Mac was figuring out what and how Eve decided to see what her children were doing there, she started walking towards them. God, there's a Squeak now. He was sitting and playing with Eve's children when suddenly he heard someone approaching. Eve reached the place and saw that her children are in place and everything is fine. Mac has already looked at what needs to be fixed and said that it will take about 3 days. Rose said that she should get to work faster before the Artin found out about Eve and children. So time passed. Squeak came every day and played with Eve's children. Rose and Sprout did experiments, and Bee and Eve watched Mac. It took 3 days and finally the capsule was repaired. Mac was able to do it. She repaired the alien capsule. Eve was insanely grateful to her for help, as well as Bee and Rose for sheltering her and not informing anyone about her. Mac said goodbye and left the biodome. Well, it's time to fly away from here. He went to get the kids. Sprout was glad that everything was fine and decided to go to the fights. And Bee with Rose. What happened? Eve screamed in fear. She was in a panic because her children were not there. Where did they go? Rose and Bee came to the place. Or maybe they are playing hide and seek somewhere in the biodome. We need to search everything. They started searching all over the biodome, but there were no children here. Eve was angry. Where are her children? She said that it was that girl Mac who stole them. Bee and Rose could not believe in such a thing. Mac is not capable of such a thing. And how is it that after she left the children disappeared? It was impossible to trust this beast. Eve was about to leave the biodome, but Bee and Rose were against it. She would be seen in the arena and she definitely would not be able to leave the earth. Eve didn't care about her children, the meaning of her life. She started walking to the exit. Bee and Rose must go with her. Where do you think Eve's children have gone? Did Squeak take them? Meanwhile, the Brawlers and Eve came home to Mac and the flea demanded that her children be returned immediately or she would wipe Mac off the face of the earth. The girl was scared and said that she didn't know anything and would never allow herself to steal anyone's children. Mac also had alibi. She was always at the capsule and didn't go anywhere for 3 days because she had nothing to do with it. Eve thought about her words and realized that Mac really couldn't have stolen the children. But then who did it? Meanwhile, Byron was heading to his laboratory to conduct new interesting experiments. He needed to surprise the arena with something, and suddenly, for this he would be assigned a new rarity. Unexpectedly, Byron saw very strange creatures a meter away from him. But these are Eve's children. But how did they end up here? As it became clear, they missed Squeak so much that they disobeyed their own mother and left the biodome to find him, but stumbled upon Byron. He came up and was shocked by what he saw. Byron wanted to take them, but the children were scared. One of them turned and began to run away. The old man didn't run after him, and these two, that's enough. He took them and headed to the lab. Along with this, Squeak didn't know anything when to play with Eve's children. Today he stayed at the fights and went there later than before. On the way, he saw a small creature running towards him. He immediately saw the strength of the child. But why is he alone? The child came up to him but couldn't say anything understandable. Squeak didn't understand where are the other two. Unexpectedly, Bee, Rose, and Eve were walking towards Squeak in search of children. Mom immediately saw that Squeak was standing with a child. Did he really steal her children? She came up and started shouting at Squeak. He was very scared. What do they want from him? At that hour, Byron and his 2 children were in the laboratory. He was eager to start experiments and find something useful for the Artin and Brawlers. He turned his head and looked at the knife. He was going to slit the body of one baby and examine it from the inside. The Brawler took the knife in his hands. The kids didn't know what to do and where to run. But then Byron remembered what he had done to Refs and how sorry he was afterwards. And how about that these children have parents?
No, I can't. I am not that bad.
It was already sure that Squeak stole the children. Rose and Bee could not believe that Brawler was capable of such a thing. Eve demanded to show where else are her 2 children. Squeak couldn't really say anything except giggles. Bee said that she wouldn't believe that Squeak stole the children, but Eve was sure that it was him. She wanted to take the child in her arms when suddenly he started running forward. Where is he going? They started to follow him. He showed some kind of road, so they reached a completely deserted place. Eve took the child in her arms and she explained to her mother that the other 2 were stolen here. What and where they are now? Bee told everyone to look into the distance. Someone is coming. It was Byron with 2 children in his arms. He approached them and immediately realized that this creature was their mother who gave the children to her. And after knowing that Byron wanted to kill her children, she got very angry. Eve hit Byron in anger and he fell to the ground. She wanted to kill him when she suddenly realized that she was surrounded by a crowd of brawlers. Oh my god, now the whole arena knows about Eve and her children. The brawlers could not let Byron hurt because he is one of them. Eve said it was time to go home, but the children began to arise. They didn't want to fly away from the earth. They really liked her, especially Squeak with whom they often played. To some extent, Eve agreed with the children that the earth is a great place for them. It's not a fact that the place where they want to fly will be better than the earth, but there is everything here. If her children want to stay here, they will stay. Eve asked how to stay in Artin. Bee and Rose said that she needs to become a brawler in any other way. So, after meeting with the council, Girl went to the training base and showed her abilities. She surprised everyone with her skills and became a new chromatic brawler. After which she met a lot of brawlers, as well as made friends with Bee, Rose, and Sprout, If not them, she would not have known what to do. She forgave Byron that he didn't touch her children. Eve started skating in the rain with her children in a capsule and doing everything to protect them.